Hello, everyone. My name is Caleb Crosby, and today I'm going to be talking about what a VPN is. I'm also going to be going over the history. I'll also go over a couple analogies. I'll go over how the VPNs work. Go over a little bit of the tunneling protocols. Why to use a VPN. Go over some of the encryption for it, and a little bit about setting up your own VPN. But to start, a VPN stands for Virtual Private Network. It is virtual because the encryption is used to define the boundary of the network instead of the routers and addressing. So your network traffic goes through a VPN server and gets encrypted for data going to and from your network. As far as the history for it goes, there used to be this thing called leased lines, which telecommunication companies used to use. They were basically these cables that you could connect different corporate buildings so that they could secure their data transmission so that no one else could see what they were doing or hear what they were doing. The cost was a little high, depending on how far the cables had to get run. Cost went up. So a little bit after that, intranets kind of started becoming a thing for corporations. So they would kind of build their own internal internet and use that instead of doing all their stuff on the open internet. So kind of a precursor to the VPN, which kind of led into the whole VPN thing actually, with the remote desktop VPNs, so people could work from home, and the site-to-site VPNs. But then it kind of led into the commercial uses for VPNs once privacy started becoming an issue online. So a lot of people have been starting to use those. There's an analogy that kind of goes along with the whole history and VPNs and kind of helps people understand how useful they are. So if you think of an ocean with a bunch of islands in it, the ocean would be the internet, and the islands would be like local area networks. And there are a few ways to travel between the islands. There's a ferry, but there's some downsides to taking a ferry. It totally exposes everything that you're doing, so anyone can see what you're up to. You can build bridges across the islands. However, those are costly. They take a little bit more cost the bigger they have to be. They kind of represent leased lines in this scenario. But the best way to travel would be by a submarine, because in this scenario, there are a few benefits to having a submarine. For example, it's fast. It's easy to take with you wherever you go. It's able to completely hide you from any other boats or submarines. It's dependable, and it costs little to add additional submarines to your fleet once the first one has been purchased. And as far as those benefits go, they're supposed to tie into a VPN. So that's kind of the relation there. So the best way to travel between islands would be with a submarine. It's just the most secure, and that definitely represents what a VPN is today. So a little bit about how VPNs work on the commercial side. So a VPN server is needed to connect to in order to encrypt the network traffic. It's possible to set up your own VPN server, but it's a little difficult, takes a little know-how, and there aren't as many benefits to setting up your own as there are with going with a VPN service these days, which would be the next option and the most popular option these days for most consumers. Once the connection is established, the data going to and from the server will be blanketed in a layer of encryption or a VPN tunnel so that no one can, even if they intercept it, can understand what's in that data. A little bit more about how VPNs work as far as the encapsulation goes. Data sent over networks are contained in packets. They follow their own protocols as far as the ISO layer goes. VPNs rely on tunneling or encapsulating those packets. So the packets contain the data that's getting sent over the network, and the VPN is going to put another layer over that packet to encapsulate it with the security layer. The computers or other network devices at both ends of the tunnel are called tunnel interfaces. And there are standardized tunneling protocols that are followed to encapsulate those packets so that it's for sure going to work. It's been tried and true. There's a little bit more to know about tunneling protocols. Just a sec here. The purpose of them is to add a layer of security that protects each packet on its journey over the internet. And the packets travel using the same transport protocol they would without tunneling either way. There is kind of another analogy to kind of help differentiate between the tunneling and transport protocols. So if you imagine a computer being delivered by a shipping company, the vendor who is sending you the computer packs the computer, which would be the passenger protocol in this case, and it's put in a box, which would be the tunneling protocol. The shippers then place that box in a shipping truck, the transport protocol, at the vendor's warehouse, one tunnel interface. The truck or the transport protocol travels over the highways or the internet to your home, the other tunnel interface, and delivers the computer. You open the box, the tunneling protocol, and remove the computer, the passenger protocol. And that kind of goes down the line of the whole process of how the tunneling and transport protocols are kind of used. As far as encryption goes and encryption methods used for VPNs, encryption requires the use of encryption keys to encrypt or decrypt the data. Common forms include symmetric key and public key encryption. The symmetric key uses the same key for encrypting and decrypting. The public key requires a third public key to be used for decrypting. There are also some protocols used, like IPsec. That's kind of the most common one for VPNs. They are required for the encryption. So why use a VPN? There are definitely benefits to a VPN. Your ISPs, your internet service providers, won't be able to see what you're doing on the internet. So that kind of has a few benefits in and of itself. One being that a lot of them throttle bandwidth when they see that you're using Netflix or other streaming sites that require a lot of bandwidth. And they will therefore lower or cap your bandwidth so that you don't get as good of a stream. It also protects you from them selling your online history. Your location is disguised. Normally you can spoof your location with a VPN and make it look like you're make it look like you're coming from another country or anywhere else you feel. It's safer to use public Wi-Fi hotspots because anyone trying to capture the data going to and from your network isn't going to be able to make any use of the data that they're getting because it's encrypted. You can evade censorship by ISPs or by governments. So like in China, where they censor a lot of websites, people there can use VPNs to get around those censors. And VPNs just all around just provide more privacy in general. It's better than just leaving all your stuff open for anyone to see. So choosing a good VPN, what to watch out for. So there are free VPN services you can go for, and there are subscription-based VPNs which you normally pay monthly for. The free ones, they work technically, but they're definitely going to slow down your internet speeds, and they might not be that secure. It's more than likely that they're keeping logs of your history either way. So normally those aren't the best route. Normally getting one that you're going to pay for and do some more research into normally is going to help that VPN be a lot better for you. And you can normally use it on multiple devices that way as well. And the thing is, if you do the research on one to find, you can find ones that don't really slow down your internet, and you can find ones that aren't going to keep logs of your information and have strict privacy agreements that you agree to when you sign up for it. So they're they're going to protect your data more than an ISP would, at least.